Hi everybody. So, face reveal. This is me. But today I am going to pick up an order that I placed online at Atlas. I wanted to use the code that they had online for an extra discount, and I didn't really want to ask about it in store. So, figured I would just place an online order for pickup and head on over there. Give me an excuse to get out of the house too. So, I wanted to take you guys with me. I'm very fortunate to live very close to Atlas, and I don't go as often as well, I don't want to say as I should because that would be really bad for my wallet if I went like that often. But I should take advantage of it more. So I'm gonna take you guys with me. It's like a 20-minute train ride, and yeah, the only stuff I had in my order was inks, and I am going to swatch them today. So I will put a little timestamp in the video right now if you don't care about like the vlog section and you just want to see the ink swatches. But if you want to just kind of see my day and travel a little bit with me, then keep watching. We have secured the bag. Can't wait to swatch these when I get home.
This is Soleil Chinatown.
All right, so we are back. I already attempted to film this video once, as you can see from the singular swatch, and it just turned into like 5 different kinds of a mess. One of the swatch pens I wanted to use was not clean, so I had to nix that. And like my lighting was kind of weird, so it was just a disaster. So we're just starting off from square one. So I picked up 8 inks. 7 of them are Dominant Industry inks, and then this one is the only Sailor ink that I picked up in Kuri. And I like again, I things were already a disaster, so I already swatched it and everything. But A lot of the Manyo inks that have been coming out from Sailor have really intrigued me. I think there's like kind of a chartreusey one that came out recently. I struggle to remember the Japanese name, but I know it means bamboo shoots. That has been really fascinating me, but I kind of have to be a little judicious with my money, so I only picked out one for now, and I plan to pick some of the other ones up later. Um, and so I picked out Kuri, which it means chestnut from my memory, and it is a really, really fascinating chroma shader. I want to see if I can sort of do it justice. I don't think the camera quite captures just how many tones are in here. It's purple, brown, green, gray. Like, I see all of those colors in different spots. In the writing, it's not quite as complex, but you can even see up here a little bit how some parts, like especially the R and the K, and the R, like the two R's and the K, they have a lot of purple, whereas some parts of the other like letters, they don't have any purple. It's mostly brown. So it's a really fascinating ink. I am very happy that I picked this one up. Reminds me a lot of some of the Birmingham Pen Company, like, desaturated gray, brown, purple inks. But I have to say that this one is a little bit more complex than, some of the ones that I have from them. I also forgot to mention that I do plan on swatching these on Cosmo Airlight paper. I will do that after we are done with Tomoe River paper. So, very happy about this one. And now let's move on to the 5 million dominant industry inks that I picked up. The first one being Winter Pine. I've been wanting this one for a really long time, but I just never pulled the trigger. It also looked kind of illegible online, but I'm a sucker for, those kinds of colors, no matter how impractical they are. One thing I don't like about dominant industry boxes is they're kind of hard to get open, but each ink comes in this little bag, and it also comes with, it still comes with a pipette, which I think is pretty cool. I won't be using it today. I prefer to use a paintbrush when I'm doing my swatches, but it's still cool to have. Cool that they include it. I mean, on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of wasteful. But I appreciate that they at least put, that kind of effort into their packaging and the experience. So excited for this one. This is a standard ink, so no shimmer. Alrighty. Let's go ahead, do a little bit of this action. Oh, that's really nice. Really beautiful mint green. I have a feeling it's not going to be legible in a pen, really, but I'm okay with that. We find a way in here. So let me go in with my Jinhao X450, which is not quite a broad, but still writes on the thicker side. Oh, that's actually really nice in writing. At least with this nib. This is an exceptionally juicy nib, and it writes very well. So we shall see how it does with a not so juicy nib, which is my Lamy fine nib. At least it's my experience that it's not so juicy. Get some of that excess off there. Oh wow, I'm really impressed with the flow of this ink. I was really certain it was going to be super dry and not very usable, but this is a really good experience so far. Beautiful color too. Another one where there's quite a bit of dimension. Again, it's kind of that minty, desaturated green, but I'm starting to see little hints of purpley pink right here. It's interesting, even though the camera didn't really bring out the complexities of Kuri, this one the camera is bringing out the complexities of winter pine even more than I can see in person right now, where it's still drying. So really nice. Oh man, I'm really glad I picked that one up. I can't think of another color, like another ink in my collection that's like this either. So I'm notorious for just buying the same colors over and over again because I'm a schmuck like that. But but I can't think of anything I have that's similar to that one. So I'm pretty happy. Alrighty, so we'll pick up another standard ink. This is Seaweed, part of the Atlantis collection, and this is, to my memory, a like a green tone, like a teal that leans more green than blue. That's all I got for you. We're gonna discover what color it actually is together. Whoa, hello. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do about the the pile of little baggies that will slowly accumulate. I don't know if the audio is picking it up, but if you can hear strange sounds, that's just my cats. Apologies. Okay, this is actually just more of a regular green, not so much teal, which I'm okay with. It's a very warm green, which I like. As it would, it's quite reminiscent of its namesake. Although when I look at this, I kind of think more moss than seaweed. Seaweed I kind of associate with a bit of a darker color than this, but that's kind of just splitting hairs. Definitely have to develop a better system for like where I write the name of the ink. I feel like I've done different things, like different ways in every single video so far. Again, I'm just trying to find what works for me, what is most productive. So I appreciate you all being here on my journey. I don't like to judge an ink too much until it fully dries, but we'll still take a little look at this guy. Yeah, really nice yellow toned. I want to say yellow toned green, but now I can start seeing a little bit more blue. Like you can see, like over here, a little bit in the writing up here that some of that teal is peeking out, but it is really mostly in the large swatch. So I don't know if that would translate necessarily to the the writing experience. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy, by the way. Just 'tis the season. It's really dry outside, and I'm trying to stay hydrated, but it's not easy. That was the sound of the cap of my Jinhao just collapsing to the earth. All right. Let's save the shimmers for last, because obviously just easier to deal with, clean up after swatching all the standard inks. Okay, I believe this one is standard, or no, this one is not standard. This one is standard. Okay, so this is again from the Painter series. Well, I don't know why I said again. I didn't. I don't even think I introduced that. This is from their Painter series. This is Fisherman at Sea. This is a really dark. I want to say it's pretty much a black with some mild green notes in there. So we will see. There aren't really a lot of swatches out there for these inks. And I saw them when I went to Atlas, like in the big swatch book that they have, but you know, sometimes it differs depending on your own tools and the paper you use and all that kind of thing. So that's why I'm not even sure what the real color of some of these is supposed to be. I kind of bought them a little bit blind, but no regrets. Okay, yeah, this is just a really, really dark green. This is more seaweed to me than than seaweed up there. It's really nice though. Very intense. Let's try leaving a little more space. Try being the operative word here. Really wet and juicy in the the Jinhao nib. I gotta stop saying that. I've made my point clear, so I won't belabor it. So this one is pretty straightforward. It looks much more black on camera than it does in person. It looks very green in person, but it's pretty straightforward. You know, not one of the ones above where you can see a lot of different tones in the swatches. This is a pretty, you know, like what it says on the tin, dark green. I like it a lot though. The flow is really nice. It feels very good, even in the Lamy Fine nib, which doesn't always get along with every ink that I have. So very fond of that. I think now we only have shimmer inks left. So let us proceed. All right. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at this one, but I want to verify the pronunciation before I open it, so we'll save that one for last. We'll go on to Atlantis next, which is pretty much a medium warm toned blue with shimmer from my understanding. You know, I'm kind of surprised I don't hear more about dominant industry inks on the internet, in, you know, at least in found pen communities. I really have enjoyed a lot of that. I haven't actually used a ton of them in my pens yet, but every time I have, like, you know, I'm pretty happy with the flow. You know, they make some really unique colors. I will say they're kind of expensive for how much you get per, like, you know, for per not millimeter, milliliter. And that's why I bought them now, because with all the codes and sales, Atlas was selling them for 12, was it 12.50? I think it was 12.50 or something crazy like that. And so that was a price that I felt comfortable like pulling the trigger on. But otherwise, I know they're like 17, 18, 19, 20 bucks, depending on whether they're standard or they are part of the Pearl series. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with them, and I really appreciate the care and effort that goes into their packaging, their theming, and you know they just seem to be one of the less discussed brands. I feel like they were pretty popular. I don't know, or at least they got a little bit more buzz about 2 years ago, and then people just kind of stopped talking about them. Whoop, I went a little silent there. My bad, y'all. I had to race to turn off the heat because the heat in my house is extremely loud and it would have drowned out my voice. Okay, so this is actually a bit lighter than I thought it would be. I don't know what I'm showing y'all. I haven't even done the writing sample yet. It's been quite a day. If I have to leave the house for anything, you can count on my brain power just leaving my body by the end of it. Which is kind of why I vegged out, played video games for a little while. It's kind of hard to manage crowds and navigate and deal with all the sensory input of, you know, heading out, especially downtown. I love my city. Love to take advantage of the opportunities I have living here, but I am very easily overstimulated. I really like this one. The base tone reminds me of a darker, more mellow diamine soft mint. I have to shake up the bottle every few seconds so I get that shimmer. I'm not really seeing much shimmer though, actually, like in person, even as it dries. So I don't know what's up with that. I can see there's shimmer in the bottle. Yeah, nice color, but not super what I expected. I guess I'll have to inspect it more. Let's take a look. I can definitely see the shimmer more. Not as much as the camera would suggest, but it has some really interesting deep blue shimmer. It's almost like the shimmer is the same tone as the base color, which is very rare. Usually the shimmer in an ink is much lighter in tone, like it's a, you know, bright gold, rose gold, or silver. But I really love inks like this where the shimmer itself is quite unique. I feel the same way about Van Diemen's Parrotfish, that the blue color, or the blue that had like a deep purple shimmer in it, that was super awesome. Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot more of the shimmer as it dries, and I really like it a lot. I have heard from some folks that their shimmer pens don't, or their shimmer inks don't do super well in pens. That hasn't been my experience, but I've only ever put them in their shimmer inks in stub nibs, so that could be it. Alrighty, next one. I think this is the companion one to Fishermen at Sea. This is the Harbor of Dieppe. This is an orange. I know the base color is an orange. I'm not quite sure what the shimmer color is, though. So this is as much of a ink exploration as it is a swatch video. Alright, it looks like the shimmer color is like, I don't know, it's like a yellow toned gold. It's super interesting. Let's check it out. Open sesame. Come on. There you go. Ooh, it looks so pretty in the bottle. I'm not normally an orange guy, but this is really nice. The shimmer particles definitely look a little bigger in this one, though. Doesn't look quite as fine as in Atlantis. Alright. Whoa, what was that? Why? Was this Harbor of Dieppe or at Dieppe? Of. Okay. Could be Dieppe as well. I'm not sure where the titular port is or town is, so please feel free to correct me on that one if it's Dieppe or Dieppe. Or even a different pronunciation. Phonology is an incredible thing. Sometimes I look at a word in another language and I feel very confident that I know what it would be pronounced as or how you might say it, and then I turn out to be very wrong. And there's nothing worse than being confidently wrong. All right. So that's still drying down quite a lot. I can see the shimmer. I definitely know it's there. But it's appearing much more in the large swatch than in the writing, which, you know, was similar to the one for Atlantis. Definitely much more here, though. I don't see it much in the writing at all. We might need to just wait for it to dry. So we'll let that baby cook, and let's get down to the last one. Okay, so this one is a phrase in French, and I'm gonna try it, and then I'm going to look it up and see if I was even remotely correct. So Soleil, couchant Etretat. Okay, I butchered that, but I'm hoping let's take a look.
Soleil couchant à Etretat.
Okay, I had to use some editing magic to take away a very long period where, for whatever reason, I could not log into my computer. Obviously, I was not very well prepared for this video. So I was a little bit close. So we're working on it. But last but not least, this is, to my memory, a lilac color with some pinky shimmer. I'm not confident about that at all. Or wait, is this the shimmer ink? No, it's a standard ink. Oh, my bad. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, this is a standard ink. I don't know why I thought it had shimmer in it. But, I don't know. You know what? I think some of the other inks in the Monet series have shimmer in them, and I got a little bit tripped up with those guys, so my fault. And this is not a lilac even a little bit. So I'm taking L's all night, y'all. But I have to say, I like this color better than if it were a lilac color. It's a very, if I had to pick a word, it would be glaucous, you know? Like a grayish blue, reminds you of the overcast sky. It's really nice. Very moody. Oh, I can see some purple hints coming out. Just a few, not in too many. Yeah, I like that. I like that quite a bit. Definitely more purple jumping out now, but it's still predominantly, no pun intended, blue. That bluish gray. All right. So most of our other swatches are pretty much done drying. We're just waiting on the last one. And then Atlantis is also drying. But whoa, you can see like that shimmer in the camera is super reflective. It's not that reflective in real life, but on the camera, it's really vibrant. I think this might be, I don't want to say it's my favorite because honestly, I'm really loving all of the ones that I picked out. I'm super in love with Winter Pine, especially now that Seaweed is dry. I really like that one. The Kuri is really great. Atlantis is awesome. You know, Fisherman at Sea in a harbor of Dieppe or Dieppe. Those ones are also cool. I mean, I'm just not as like in love with them as the other four. And then this one is shaping up to be a really nice, unique color as well. But we'll take a look at them when they have completely dried. I'm going to speed run the Cosmo Air Light swatches because this video has gone on long enough. I have talked long enough. I'm sure no one wants to hear me yap more. So we'll go through those ones pretty quickly. Alright, friends, I could not wait any longer for this to dry. We've still got a little bit right there, but this is pretty much mostly dry. So, you know, one of the things about Cosmo Air Light is it really brings out all of the properties of an ink, even more so than Tomoe River, in my opinion. You know, like, for example, Fisherman at Sea has a little bit more dimensionality than it did on Tomoe River paper. But again, I just cannot get over the way it feels to write with, and how sensitive it is to hand oils. Like right here, that's pretty much what happened. So yeah, but it does make the inks look so beautiful. Like, look how vibrant the shimmer on Atlantis is. It's just really incredible. One of the interesting things about Kuri is it's almost entirely purple on this paper. It's crazy. I'll bring over the Tomoe River for comparison. So that's how it looks on Tomoe River paper. We've got those side-by-side comparisons right there. You can see much more brown on Tomoe River. And then for Winter Pine, let me see if there's a good way I can do this. I think we'll just have to kind of do it a little bit like that. So they look very similar on, like, you know, compared to each other. Really, on the Cosmo Air Light, I would just say it is a bit darker, interestingly, in writing. In writing, it's a little bit lighter on Tomoe River paper. Seaweed is much more blue tone on the... and sorry about my nail, by the way. My nail fell off while I was waiting for this to dry. Don't worry about it. So Seaweed is much more blue on Cosmo Air Light compared to the Old Tomoe River paper. On Old Tomoe River paper, it is pretty green with some teal, but it is pretty... like the big swatch is pretty straightforwardly teal. And even in the writing, it's not as prominent, but you can still see there's like that small difference in tone. I'll kind of turn things on their side now, just again to make it a little bit easier to compare. So for Fisherman at Sea, you know, well, maybe this would work. Yeah, I guess that would work. I don't know why I didn't think it would work. So Fisherman at Sea is much darker on Tomoe River paper. You can obviously see that it is green, and it actually has some interesting haloing. I don't know if you can see that. It's very subtle. It has some interesting haloing on the edges. It's kind of like reddish black. It's interesting, but it doesn't nearly strike you as black as on Tomoe River paper on the Cosmo Air Light. So you can read the green tones much better. Even this spot notwithstanding, you can see there's like a little bit more green there, a little bit more green in the writing. So that's interesting. Atlantis, not too many. There's no good way to do this one because they're in the middle, but there's not too many differences between Atlantis on Tomoe River and then Atlantis on Cosmo Air Light. In fact, they're pretty much the same, I would say. Maybe the shimmer is a little bit more prominent on the Cosmo Air Light, but overall it's very similar. And then Harbor of Dieppe, the shimmer is in the large swatch pretty equally prominent. The writing is very similar. I would say the writing on the Cosmo Air Light is a little bit, how do I say this, desaturated compared to over here. You can see the writing over here is a little bit brighter than it is on the Cosmo Air Light. And then Soleil, couchant, Etretat. Thanks for bearing with me. Also very similar. Almost no differences there. I know on the camera it looks like you can see more purple in the Tomoe River swatch, but you can see quite a lot of purple over here too. It just kind of pooled a little differently. So the biggest differences are for sure Fisherman at Sea and then Kuri in terms of how do they look on Cosmo Airlight versus Tomoe River paper. So okay, I know everybody's sick of my yapping. This has got to be like my longest video ever, and I'm gonna have to do quite a bit of editing. But I do hope you enjoyed getting to see my little trip to Atlas, along with a little B-roll, and, just kind of taking a look at some of these dominant industry inks. I feel like they're a little underappreciated, so I wanted to give a little bit of a spotlight to them. But yeah, so that I'm gonna wrap it up for today. By the way, if you ever go to Atlas Stationers, talk to Charles. I chatted with him for like 45 minutes today, and he is a really cool, knowledgeable guy with a ton of experience in the industry. Super friendly. He gave me a little postcard. It's still in my backpack, but he was awesome, really helpful. And it's just really nice talking to kind of the veterans of this hobby, because they've been able to see how much it's changed and everything like that. Like, we were chatting about boutique inks because that's my wheelhouse, and he admitted, like, with certain brands he doesn't know as much about them, but whereas, like, he had a lot more knowledge about certain pens and their history than I did. So it was just really great. If you ever go there, chat with him, and it was a great experience. I always love going to Atlas. They're fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you for watching. I will be back with a currently inked for December pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. All right, everybody, take care. And if you celebrate the holidays, please enjoy the holiday. Which, it might be today, might have been yesterday by the time I post this. So either way, enjoy, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.